Yeah. We got a big old chunk of steel that we're forging tonight. What's up, what's up, what's up? Trying to, might need to wipe off that lens just a smidge. What's up, Duck? There we go. It was kind of blurry for a second there. Had a weird little light thing happening. Now, I want to see this ridiculous piece of steel that we're forging tonight. What's up, Bob? What's up, Craig? So it doesn't look like it's that big until you turn it sideways. This is what we're going to be using to forge tonight. It's about 5/8 of an inch thick, 5160, and we're going to make a big knife. What's up, Patriot Prospecting? So that right there is a big old chunk. I'm going to go ahead, throw it in the forge, start getting this heated up. That's going to be our handle right there. So I figure I might as well get that situated. I need to get the handle in the right size so that I can switch to the easier to use tongs. So most of this first stuff is going to be us getting that tang where it needs to be. So what this is, the piece of leaf springs that I'm using is, of course, this is a small piece of it. This right here is the equivalent to what it would take to forge a full-size knife. This little bitty guy right here, about 5/8 of an inch thick. So if I use this, I can easily forge this size knife right here and that thickness. I can easily forge that out of this size of steel. And what we're using, this right here, that height and everything, is basically the tang. So about this much of this steel is the tang. And you can make a whole entire knife out of that. So we're going to end up with probably a little bit of extra steel, but that's okay because we can always remove that. What's up, Mark? What's up, Jeff? How you doing? It is. The tang is also a space shuttle beverage, an orange beverage. So we're gonna let this heat up. It's gonna take probably about 2-3 minutes for that piece of steel to heat up. The nice thing is that heat's gonna slowly start transferring to the front. So whenever I have the other side in, it's not going to take as long to heat up. But whenever I do that, I'm probably going to block off the forge a little bit. Matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and block this off a little bit right now. Let that build up some heat. So I got 2 bottles of propane right now. I've got one that's probably about 2/3 of the way full. We're just going to use it until it's empty. Then we'll switch to the other bottle because this is going to take the full 2 hours to forge, at least. And I'm going to use a lot of the big hammers to do this. Extra steel does mean a longer blade. My goal for the blade style is to do a version of this behind me. So I'll pop y'all off of here for a second. I'm going to do a version of this right here. Don't know if it's going to be exactly like that. What's up, DL? What's up, Jason? So something similar to that, but it's going to be a beast. So the goal for this is to do kind of a, if we want to call it a camp chef's knife or kind of like a camp, I wouldn't call it a cleaver, but what's up, Neil? I actually have a project coming up for a K-tip Gauto here pretty soon. So I'm going to have a video coming out for one of those. This is going to be, I'm going to try and do how I did the last one where it was kind of like this right here, where I have a wider part at the ricasso and then it tapers out and it tapers towards the end of the tang. My goal is for the ricasso, because I'm going to have a pretty tall heel on this. My goal is for the ricasso to be over 1/4 of an inch thick, between 1/4 and 3/8 of an inch thick, and then it's going to taper nice and thin. It's going to come down. It's going to have a tall blade. We're going to see how it goes. I want you to be able to cut a tree down with this if you want to. What's up, Steve? What's up, Kane Custom Knives? What's up, Billy? How do you get involved with with the Viking challenge or the Vicky challenge? I know you meant Viking. So with the Viking challenge, if you go to the YouTube Knife Makers Challenge on Facebook, you can post the stuff on there. Plus, you can also email Dennis. I don't know if he has it set up to be able to email him. I'll figure that out for y'all. And on the next live stream, I'll figure out exactly who y'all might need to email with pictures and things like that. But they're going to go through a lot of the stuff through the YouTube Knife Makers Facebook page. Except the old Knives Templar podcast. And Shegman. What's up, Chris? So the goal for that challenge is for the viewer section. Those are the people that get all the prizes. So the viewers actually, whoever get the top 3 of those, they get the prizes. The people who do the YouTube side of it don't really get any of the prizes. We just get the views and things like that. So all you got to do is just post your pictures on the YouTube page, YouTube Knife Makers Challenge, and go from there. A lot of us have already started the builds. The thing that I'm going to do is I think that next week's live stream, I'm going to forge the sword. So at least get the rough profile. Nothing yet, SNS. We've got the tang heating up so that we can start forging this. I'm working with a piece of steel that is that thick. So it's actually a lot bigger than this. This is basically what I have for the tang. I've got a big chunk that comes down here. But we're going to be forging a really big piece of steel down with this. And then we're going to have it set up, though, to where I think that I'm going to do my my blade forging the sword in next week's live stream. So we're going to see how that goes. I don't know how long it's going to take to forge the sword. So next week's live stream might be a little bit earlier. I might start it at like 6 o'clock and then forge until 9 o'clock. I don't know exactly. I'm going to have to kind of plan it out a little bit, but we might do that rough profile on that one. Okay, our tang is getting warmed up. It's almost at a point. So I've got to use a few different tongs for this because I don't exactly have the best set of tongs to hold a chunk of tip steel this big. But these right here tend to put a pretty decent amount of pressure on the sides. Just because I'm about to have to move a lot of steel, we're going to see how this goes. And we're going to be using, at first, the good old Fire Creek Forge big old hammer to do a lot of the moving on this first one. I'm just going to start hitting it with the round side of this hammer. And I'm going to try and stretch that tang out a few different directions. Alright, let's get this steel out of here so I can actually grab it with these tongs. This is going to be really unruly until I actually get this tang drawn out a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to have to kind of fiddle with it until I get this tang to a point where I can actually use the other tongs. Yep, that's going to be the part where this tongs don't do very well. Go back in. Let that heat back up. So I've got to get the tang section to a point to where it's going to be a little bit easier to use. and wheeled, I'll bring y'all down. We'll bring y'all down to about right there. That way you're a little bit closer. Yeah, that's gonna be a little better. Let's see here. Easier for y'all to see from this side? Yeah. If I'm standing on that side, I feel like I'm putting a big shadow. All right, let's see what y'all say here. All right. Is it an option to post pics on Facebook group? Yep. Planning on starting next week. Streaming. That's gonna be cool. Live streaming the whole process of that. TNA of Vikings, the old Shegman. I speak none of the Viking language. It just has to be a Viking weapon. Not technically. I think someone's making a helmet in the group. You can do an axe. If you wanted to make a boat, you can make a boat. So, is the video, y'all cool with this? Is it losing a little bit of, am I too far away from the Wi-Fi? Do y'all have enough signal? Yeah, let me know those things so that I'm not messing it up. Okay. We're forming Blood Eagle. For the people that haven't watched the show Vikings, they don't really know what that is. Viking Shield could be a neat project. I agree. The Viking Shield would be absolutely awesome. All right. See if I can do this without it flying out of my tongues here. The good news is once it starts developing that heat in there, it stays in there pretty easily. So let's see here. Yeah, you got Nisha in the chat. She's hooking me up with some food right now. Some diced potatoes, cooked up, and chili on top of it that I made last night. Right in the car with your wife. Tell your wife I said what's up. Yeah, this is getting heat back into it real quick now. I'm gonna have to grab it in a weird, awkward way. I'm gonna make sure that it's nice and hot, so I'm not having to try and do weird hammer blows on it. So the time for the coal ironworks, yeah. What's your preferred hammer weight, general working? So this right here, this is 3.6 pounds. So this one's a little bit heavier right here. It's got a broader face and everything than this one right here. This is still a big face. It's just not as big as this one. So this is just under 5 pounds. I use this for a lot. We're using this one right now just because it has a super aggressive round side. We're trying to move the material as fast as possible while we have the heat in it. On the way to a new house in Texas, heck yeah. Pretty stoked to do this build for the challenge. Yeah, I know, you were talking about that, Steve, and I think it's cool that she kind of picture your build. All right. Get back after it. Not worried about this tang being pretty right now. We're going to end up doing all of that later on. Just trying to get it to a point to where I can easily use it with my other tongs. Which are probably good right there. So on these next couple of heats, so I've got it to where I can easily use it with the tongs, got it tapered down. We went from almost 5/8 of an inch down to that. You can see the difference in how thick this is versus that right now. So what I'm going to do before I start working on the blade, on this next heat, I'm going to come in with the cross peen, and I'm going to start hitting where that finger choil is. I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to pull that tang out a little bit. My goal is to get the tang, the widest part of the tang, down to about 3/8 of an inch. So go from 5/8 down to 3/8. That is the goal for the thickness of the ricasso. The thickness of the ricasso is going to be right at about 3/8, and it's going to taper back. I am going to do a full tang knife on this just because of the size of the knife that I'm doing. I don't want it to be a hidden tang. Would it be fine if it was a hidden tang? Yes. But I want that full tang flare on it. How are you gonna do the sword? Let's see here. You talked to two bastards about Friday. I have not yet, but I did message him. Let's see here. You have a website for items to sell? Yeah, it's just theriversexperience.com. Just like my YouTube channel, just theriversexperience.com. Let's see here. Genuine question. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Let's go ahead. Pull it back out. Force it down again. Head down. Straight peen. Straight at the area that's going to be the ricasso. Once I get that down to 3/8, then I'm going to go ahead and have the width that I want it to be, or the thickness that I want it to be be able to forge the blade down to it. Now, of course, the blade is going to have a distal taper from the ricasso to basically, this will probably be the easiest thing to kind of show you. We're not forging this, but this will be easy to show you on. So we're going to be doing about 3/8 of an inch in this area here. Okay. So this right here, this is about 3/16 of an inch. We're going to go about 3/8 of an inch, and then it's going to taper to the area that's right here, and then of course it's going to taper more to the tip, just like that right there. But we're going to distal to here and all the way to the tip. This is going to be the biggest point, and then it's going to have a distal taper through the tang as well. So kind of like we did this one, where it's 3/8 of an inch and it tapers, and then it tapers. Of course, when I grind this one, it's going to taper even more because it's going to go down to a 0 at the front and down to about a 1/16 at the base of that. Probably going to have to open the big doors up. Okay, so right now we kind of have this hook happening right here. What I'm going to end up doing is forging with that same hammer down towards the bottom here, and that's going to kind of straighten that out, because right now the spine is thinner than the under part. So we need to thin that out, and then we'll kind of straighten that tang out just a hair. My wife brought me some foodstuffs. Put that back in there. Thank you, babe. Got fried taters, chili, and cheese. All right, so these tongs tend to kind of flare out on me here and there. I need to make it to where we come back together. That way I can hold this a little bit better. These are old school tongs right here. They're probably about 10 years older than I am. All right, let's see here. And quench taters. Picked a pretty tricky for a short sword. You're going to have to show me that. Text it to me. Anyone else frozen, or is it just me? Let's see here. Upcoming river experience, line of forge wear, clothing coming this spring. Boots and the tank tops, right? But I am opening this big door. It is already warm in here. It's probably about, I'd say it's probably about 80 in here. So we're opening the big doors because it's only about 60 degrees outside right now. Oh, there we go. Let's take this off. No need to have all this thing on. All right. Y'all ready for some more forging? I've really appreciated the amount of people that have been coming on these live streams and talking and hanging out. We've had a pretty good showing lately. Like I said, this time we're going to forge inside that finger choil a little bit. be good there, thickness wise. Bring that back up to temp, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just flatten the tang out a little bit. So we're going to flatten it out, take some of that arch out of it. I'm going to press these back together again. Yeah, I probably don't even have to do that. Let's see what y'all are saying here. What's up, Pinto? What's up, Yvette? Retarded question, but could you dip your tongs in water? Yeah, you could dip them in the water if you want to. These right here, old school tongs, and they actually don't get a bunch of heat into the curves here. And these, they deform real fast. The other ones that I have, almost not at all. And correct, cooling them is more so you don't burn yourself. And these are so long that I don't even come close to having to worry about burning myself. Switch back to the other hammer and just kind of take this bow out. You really want tongs that are meant for certain things when you're doing stuff like what I'm doing right here, because this could easily come back and fly out and hit me in the face. So instead of just going crazy with the hammer blows, I'm just doing small adjustments. So right now, that is going to be our tang. Of course, we've got a lot of meat in there. We're going to end up moving things around. The area that's going to be where the finger choil is going to get forged down quite a bit, but we're going to go ahead and start working on the blade because I want as much material in that tang area as possible, because we really got to move a lot of material on this blade side. Okay, now because the bottle is running a little bit low and getting cold, I'm going to swap them out, and I'll use this bottle whenever it gets all we've been forging for a little while, and the other bottle gets hot, and the other bottle gets cold, I guess you could say. But I knew that was going to happen. That's the reason why I got a brand new bottle right here. I did order a tub, just a little trough thing, to be able to put this bottle in, or put one of these bottles in, so that it stays warmer for longer. Open that up. Because again, get all that frost on the bottom there. If I had that bucket of water to put it in, I wouldn't have to worry about that. Let's see here. What'd you say? And there are no stupid questions. Just like Duck said. And another week closer to the blade. The week's been going good. I've got I don't want to get y'all too far away from the Wi-Fi, but I got this whole run of blades right here finished. And then of course I got a whole bunch more underneath those cloths right there, but I got a whole run, another set done. I've been hand sanding a week. It's been a pain in the butt. I have like no fingerprints on my fingers. the holes in cat's fur always in the right place for eyes? Don't know. Don't hold back because of me. You stand stupid. How many knives can you make with one gas bottle? I could probably, if I wasn't forging ridiculously thick knives, I could forge a lot off of one bottle. I have forged one bottle. I could typically do about 6 to 8 knives per bottle. Yeah, so we've been doing good. Look at this. Got a chili with sirloin in it. I cubed up some sirloin steaks and used that for the meat in the chili. I'm a steak fanatic. All right, so now we can use the tongs that actually let us go freaking crazy. It's going to take just a little bit longer for this to heat all the way up. But we're already doing pretty good heat-wise. It looks brighter on the camera. It's so funny. So the lighting does two things. It either makes the steel, like the camera, it either makes the steel look way hotter than it is or way colder than it is. It's annoying. And yeah, if they're small EDCs, I can do a bunch. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I can forge about, these knives right here, about 6 of these on one tank. If they're not, this is from a rectangle to a full handle profile, blade profile, all of that. I could forge about 6 to 8 of these off of one tank. And that's a full-size knife, full-size handle, EDC. This is one of my medium EDCs. But yeah, I can do that, about 6 of those to 8 of them on one tank. If I was doing these right here, this is my camp knife version of that. If I was doing these, I'd only probably be able to forge about 4 of them. That's a big knife. That's a thick knife. Big chunk of steel. Yes, you have seen me eat a big steak, Mr. Chip. I am a steak fanatic. I love steak. That's what I eat a lot of. Okay, so now that we got our tang done, we need to go ahead and start forging this blade down, getting it down to the thickness that we want. I'm not worried about the profile just yet. Just want to thin it out. Round side of the hammer. You can actually see I don't know if y'all can see that, but there's the Ford logo for the Ford E450, E350 that this came off of. Again. So my goal here is to get this steel right at about 3/8 of an inch, so forge it from the 5/8 down to about 3/8, and then we'll start shifting everything where I want it to go. If I wanted this to be like a huge cleaver, all I would need to do at this point is forge it down with the round side of my hammer to about 3/16 of an inch thick, and it would move all that steel everywhere. Because let's think about that. We would be able to take that block and almost do it times 5 of the size, but we fit it all the way out. all that steel is going to go everywhere, balloon out. But for me, I want to get it down to 3/8 of an inch, even with where I got the thickness of the ricasso, or the front of that tang. And then I'm going to go ahead and start drawing the heel down, drawing the blade out, doing our tapers, all of that stuff. So we're going to see how this goes, but I think we're going to be able to get a good big blade out of this. And I am running my forge hotter than normal. So Texas, but I have to be at NC that week before. We'll see how that goes. I usually run at 10 psi. I'm running at about 18 to 19 psi right now. Well, if you don't leave in North Carolina until the 23rd, I mean, you can show up on the 24th if you wanted to be crazy about it. But I would just say don't worry about it and just show up to the Blade Show Atlanta. I'll be filming the entire time at Blade Show Texas. But yeah, 19 PSIs, pumping. All right, let's keep bringing it down. What we're trying to do is, again, get it down to the thickness of where I have the front of that handle. I'm telling you right now, all my neighbors hear them hammer blows. There's not a neighbor around right now that doesn't hear pow, 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 pow. So to me, even if I just did, if I did 6 knives per tank. Now, a custom knife is different. So a knife like this, of course, one of the one-offs, the crazier builds, that's a bigger knife, would typically sell for about $600 to $700. And even if I just use one tank at $24 a tank, I mean, you got handle scales that cost more than $24. So if I just use that tank, I recoup that cost in one single knife. And if I'm using it to make 5, 6, 7 knives, $24 is almost nothing. What's up, Franco? It did not need to be that hot. It's definitely hot. It's a small forge with one burner for knives, mostly because it's fairly efficient. Small work? Yeah, I know. So I have a smaller forge. It's all the bricks that are down here. That is a one burner. I just hardly think about it. Yeah, these small bottles only cost between $20 to $24. This is true. I could be making more. It won't matter. Whenever I get my ribbon burner set up, I'll be using about 3 to 4 psi. So I won't have to worry about it. Anybody else want to come swing a almost 4-pound hammer that much? At this point, what I'm doing is I'm primarily forging in this area right here, and then I'm going to start forging out as we go. But we've already brought it down quite a bit in that area, so I got to come down some more. Getting there. By the way, this piece of steel is already grown quite a bit. I'm going to show you. So off this next couple of heats, I'm going to show you the comparison. Of course, this is a piece that we cut off of right here. I'm going to show you how much taller we've got on this next time we bring it out compared to this right here. I think right now, when I started with this, it was 2¼ inches. And we're going to see how tall we can get it. My goal is to have a blade that is 3 inches tall. Now I'll show you. 3 inches. 3 inches is taller than this. So we're going to have a good size heel on it. That's only 2 3/4 inch. What y'all saying over here? Well, he's currently trying to rearrange his shop. Have to move all his stuff. In the garage, he also has a pellet stove for his shop. Yeah, pellet stoves are awesome. There's a robotics building. That's cool. Stopping me from a ribbon burner. It's finding a decent 220. So if you're thinking about doing a ribbon burner, go onto Brian House's website, Housemade. Just type in Housemade, it'll pull it up. If you go into the Apollo Forge build, okay, you can actually, and Tyrell uses basically the same one, but so with Housemade, he's got all the links for everything, all the fittings that you need to run it. He's got the actual blower from Amazon. He's got everything that you can actually use for that. So you don't technically have to worry about that. And his is just a 110 blower. So you don't have to worry about getting anything super crazy. That's pretty cool, TV Man Titan. What's up, SF Safari? Or is it SF Shafi? A plan, 40-pound tank, 3 inches of refractory, 3 house-made ribbon burners. God, could you imagine 3 ribbon burners? That'd be absolutely insane. All right, let's bring it down some more. Okay, let's see how wide we are right now, or how tall. So just right now, we haven't forged any bevels, okay? We haven't forged a single bevel. It's already the same height as this right here. And we haven't forged any bevels. When we forge bevels, it's going to get even taller. So we're easily going to have 3-inch tall bevels on that thing. God, this is going to be a monster. And of course, some of that material we can move out this way if we want to. This is going to be a big knife. We're about the width that we want in that finger choil area and in that handle area. But like I said earlier, for people who just got on, we're going to forge the blade section down to 3/8 of an inch. And then we'll start moving the material where I want it to go. thank you, man. Yeah, this is a good old Serbian right there. But we're going to be making a big old knife out of this. And again, for those people just joining, my goal is to do something kind of like this, but on a big scale. And she's gonna be beefy. But we got a lot of material to move. A whole lot of material. And my goal is, again, the ricasso area is gonna be almost 3/8 of an inch thick on this. Now, of course, whenever I do the bevels and all of that, it's gonna come down to a nice thin edge. It's gonna taper real well towards the front. And then we're also gonna have a distal towards the end of the tang. And yeah, that ball bearing build turned out epic. So just so you know, it's the steel that I started with was 5/8 of an inch thick. So that's what we forged down, 5/8 of an inch thick, and by about 2 1/4 inches tall. And we're just gonna hand forge the hell out of it with the hammer I got from you, Elijah. We're starting to bring it down, thinning it out. But man, it's going to be interesting to see what this really looks like whenever we start moving the material where we want it to be. And it's going to be beefy. I can tell you that. What's up, OG Frenchie? What's up, Neil? Like a tuna knife. Those tuna knives are actually pretty awesome. Old Shegman, he made him one of those. And it looked pretty cool. It was huge. The thing was massive. His tuna knife made this look small. I know, man. So just so you know, the last 2 live streams were over 5,000 views. The first one is over 6,000. I think we're well over 5,000 on the second one that we did, and then we'll see how this one turns out here. I appreciate all the people coming on and participating in this and talking in the comment section and doing all that. You know, it's going absolutely awesome. I really appreciate the participation that we've had. Flip that over. I want this thing to be nice and piping hot on this next one, because I'm going to try and get the rest of it to that 3/8 of an inch thick. He's actually got plenty of videos on heat treating the 52-100. He uses it a lot. And yeah, I'm a 5'11", 200-pound dude. I'm not tall, but I'm not short. This time I'm going to go flat side. pretty much at the thickness. Okay, so we've brought it down from 5/8 of an inch to a decent thickness throughout there. Okay, so now it's time to start profiling this. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and start hammering on the back side here, and we're going to slowly start kind of getting a preform on here, and then we're going to start drawing the blade out. And basically what will end up happening is, for a little bit of this, it's going to end up looking kind of like a Serbian right here. So it's going to end up looking kind of like this. What it's going to end up happening is, instead of it having this tall point right here, this is going to come down almost like a gaiuto. So it's going to come down, and it's going to come down a little bit longer. Imagine this profile, but if this was about 2 inches longer and this kept coming down, that's about what we're going to end up doing. So it's not going to be a Serbian like this. It's going to be a little bit of a longer blade, and it's going to have a nice profile. It's going to be a super tall heel, tall blade. It is going to be awesome. And the reason behind me being able to make that ricasso 3/8 of an inch is because where you're actually going to be cutting is going to be pretty thin with how tall these bevels are going to be. Not many people are trying to make chef's knives with 3/8 of an inch thick ricassos, but I want to be able to cut a tree down with this. Is it necessary to be that big? No, but we're having fun. Forged finish is nice and consistent. Thank you, man. Beefy piece, yeah, it's huge. I get that. Some people think I'm shorter than I am. Whenever they meet me, they think that I am like 5'7" or something like that. And I tend to get that I'm taller than I normally am. All right. Now, one of the things that I've been working on a lot is the consistency of my forge thicknesses, being able to do all of that. You know, I do that is just forged right there. You know, the ground in bevels are just at this very point right here. So this thickness going in into here, the thickness of the tang, I haven't ground anything on the tang. That is fully forged still. So that whole entire spine, that whole entire area, that's all forged. The main part of the bevels, again, because we only ground up to there, is all forged. And that's one of the things that I've been focused on an absolute ton, trying to get it perfect. Joel from The Last of Us. Watching this make me want to get another forge put together. Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I love cleavers too. That's probably one of my favorite things. Cleavers and like Serbians and stuff like that. I just like the profiles of them. Now, I don't make a ton of them, but I like them. Okay, let's come in here. This back. The ridiculous thing is, again, that we are forging something that thick. So whenever we come in and we're forging this thing, it's about twice as thick steel right now than what most people use to start forging their knives. So this is about twice as thick as your normal steel that you're working with. Because a lot of people are working with 3/16 of an inch steel. Some people are working with a 1/4 inch thick steel. We were about to forge this blade out of something that's still 3/8 of an inch thick. It's beefy. It's a lot. We're gonna make it happen. Now, of course, this next like 30 minutes of this is gonna really start making this look like it's a 5160. So the next 30 minutes is where this is gonna go from kind of like a chunk of steel with the tang kind of sticking off of it and start really turning into a knife. And the last 30 minutes will be me smoothing everything out, because right now we're not super worried about trying to make the blade look pretty. We're going to abuse the hell out of the steel. We're going to deform the hell out of it. We're going to absolutely move stuff everywhere, getting the things to where we want it to be, trying to get set up for that profile. So at this point, I'm not worried about a ton of planishing. If y'all see me lay it down on its side and hammer it, that's just because I don't want to cause I don't want to cause an issue later. Like a cold shut or something like that by accidentally folding a piece of steel over on itself. I don't want to do that. But I'm not trying to planish right now. I just want to kind of get things to where they need to be. Starting to get there. Ish. Now what you'll see me do, let's go ahead and move the anvil base back to where it was originally. You'll see me take it and hammer it onto the side here. Come in and use the side of the anvil as a stop to bring that top section back in so we don't get fish lips. Just a simple process. Don't be afraid to use all of your anvil. It is a huge chunk of steel. You're not going to hurt it, especially with nice hot steel. Thank you, Bob. First few times I forged a thick piece of 5160, surprised how it was to move. It is hard to move. That is 100% true. Yeah, 52100 soak time. I've got a bunch of 52100. The reason why I haven't really started working with it is because I'm waiting to get my heat treat oven. I like to torture myself. It's not that I like to torture myself. It's that I like to push myself to do stuff that people wouldn't typically do hand forging. I love doing stuff that's a little bit crazy. I want to go and push myself. And then whenever I do get my power hammer or press, it won't matter. I'll know that I can forge whatever I want by hand. Let's say my power hammer or press screws up on me. Well, then I know that I can forge it by hand. Back up. But I would tell you this. If you are, right now I'm about to quench my tongs or soak them in water. so that my hands don't get too hot. And it's hot enough in here that that's all going to dissolve or evaporate real quick. What's up, Godzilla? Yeah, channel my ancestors. Heck yeah. Have I forged a sword? I have forged several swords. And I think that on the next live stream, so next Saturday's live stream, I'm probably going to try and go ahead and forge my Viking Challenge sword. That might be like a 3-hour video or a 3-hour live stream. And of course, we're going to forge it out of a big piece of 5160. And my goal is for the blade to be about 30 inches long. So it's going to be a lot of forging. Drink coffee. Man, where are you from? If I was drinking coffee right now, I would not go to sleep. I've never understood people that can drink coffee at night. Some people just like coffee. Can I make Godzilla? Man, I probably could, but that would be a little complicated. I'm trying to forge it. I could probably push myself to make it some Godzilla action. So I think on this next heat, now that we kind of have this profile set up, let's see here, flatten out a little bit. So on the next heat, we're going to take and we're going to try and start moving this material out this way. I don't have to worry about trying to draw the hill down right now. By default, the hill's already tall enough. Whenever I go to forge in my bevels and I pull that steel down into the bevels, it's going to automatically make this thing about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch taller than it is right now. So it'll probably be easily 3 inches tall at the hill. Still holding hope for Shop Talk Tuesday. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle build. So what are y'all working on this week? What do y'all got going on in your shops? Hey, Miss Rivers, wifey of mine, can you bring me another bottle of water and one of them black cherry flavor things? Over. So on this next one, we're going to start moving the material out. We're going to go a little crazy with it. We're going to be using our straight peen hammer from Two Bastards Forge. So I haven't seen this guy. Two Bastards Forge. I've got a few more hammers coming from him too. But the one that I'm looking forward to, I've got a 5-pound cross peen coming from it. That's going to be absolutely crazy. Wake up through the night. Let's see here. What do y'all typing here? Sometimes to have a cup of coffee. Yep. 5 small knives. To finish, then the Viking Challenge. Heck yeah. Working on the Viking build. First samurai knife. Good luck on your first samurai. Samurai's a pain in the ass. Does that work for everyone? My beer's in. This week's retooling week. So I have 2 swage blocks, 2 hammers, springs to fill the fuller finish. Nice. Making different types of candle holders. That's what I'm talking about. to get some material moved here. One of the things that I want to show y'all is if you're going to do what I'm doing right now, if you're going to try and get the length drawn out this way, you need to hit everywhere on this. You need to make sure if you're hitting here, that you're hitting here and hitting here. Keep going all the way down it, because if you just focus on this, it's going to curve. It's going to thin this out and curve that tip down. If you're just hitting here on the bottom, it's going to curve the tip up. So you need to make sure you're hitting all over it so that everything moves out and you're not making a weird profile, which you're going to have to correct later. So we're hitting all over it. We're moving full height of it, full width of it, everything. And that's going to make it to where you get that length with the even width and a decent profile that you just forged out. Because I've already got the preform kind of in that position. And all I got to do now is just kind of lengthen it and get it where I need it to go. Okay? And we're using the straight peen to do that because this has a broad straight peen. If I was using the hammer from John Norwood, that's a very narrow, very acute angle. You want it to be broader like this so that you can actually move the material a bunch of places and you don't risk getting any type of cold shuts in there. I use that cross peen in areas like finger choils and stuff like that where I don't have to worry about that. Let's see here. Started just today on my first knife ever cut. Got a saw blade into a thin tanto. Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. My first knives were out of things like files and stuff like that. So, you know, saw blades, there's people that still use those. There are knife makers that sell them at blade shows that use those. All right, let's get this back out and keep extending it out. So remember, that's what we're trying to do right now. Just extend it out. And I'm not worried about flattening it with the flat side yet. I'm just going to abuse the heck out of it with this straight peen. As long as I'm not thinning the ricasso out more than it is, I'm not worried about this front section because as I planish it, we're going to distal it out. Okay? Right now, we're just trying to get length out of it. We're trying to create a little bit of a distal, and we're just compressing it down and getting as much length out of it as possible. What's up, Brooke? How you doing? What's up, Mr. Mike? There you go. I'm super happy that people are making their first knives. Struggle to sell them. Especially when it comes to a fillet knife. I don't know how many of y'all have actually made fillet knives, but getting that heat treat and temper perfect is a pain in the butt. So, you know, a fillet knife is not an easy knife to make. And I feel like if you're selling that to somebody, I really feel like you should get what it's worth. Because a fillet knife versus just a normal EDC, fillet knife's more complicated to do. Your heat treat temper has to be right, your thickness has to be right, it needs to be able to be flexible. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that other than just making a profile and heat treating it. That get a little bit hotter. I'm happy everybody that's on here is talking and chatting it up. Fire Creek, I saw you a second ago. What are you working on this week? What's up? Is that K-Bob? Is that what you go by? K-Bob? Does it count if I make a knife out of an old file using a bitch grinder? Yes, it doesn't matter how you make the knife. As long as you get into the process and you're trying to do it. I started off by making knives out of files. My most viral video is me making a knife out of a file. So I think that video's got over 1 million views. That's me making a knife out of a file. So it absolutely is not. Starting to get there. Thin it out. Nice. What's crazy is when you start with a certain amount of steel and then you just have an idea of where you want to be profile-wise and you just start forging and you just get it there. I love that aspect of this. I don't know anything about welding, but that's cool. I'm just happy you're here. Okay, Bob. What's up? Is it Fabiana? Plating knives are tricky to grind. Out of a toothbrush and a razor blade in prison. I mean, you could. I don't know if we consider that a knife or a shank, but I mean, you could cut stuff with it. On Forged in Fire, I definitely think they would be able to say it could kill. That toothbrush and just melt the toothbrush down a little bit, stick that razor blade in it, or just sharpen the toothbrush on the ground. That's funny. All right. Do a little bit more hammering on this thing. Start on this side first. I wouldn't suggest y'all start with right off the bat is what I'm doing right now. If you try and do what I'm doing right now, this much steel moving this much, you're gonna talk yourself out of making knives. Because I'm gonna fill this tomorrow. Look how big this thing is now. Serbian cleaver, this, and we're still super thick. Ah, this is gonna be cool. And of course, we're gonna be profiling it some more. And what'll end up happening is, because I have all that material thickness in the heel, whenever I start forging that heel, the bevels into it, it's going to take and it's going to shoot that tip out quite a bit. It's the reason why I haven't focused a ton on the profile, because remember, we're doing something kind of like this right here. The reason why I haven't focused on this, that top section right there, is because whenever I start forging those bevels in, it's going to shoot that front out and it's going to pull this heel back. Okay? But I'm not going to be doing those bevels until we get the thickness of the blade kind of where I want it to be, and I get the handle profile. So we're going to continue forging like we're doing right now. We're going to continue coming out with that straight peen and extending it out and get the thinness, get the blade tapered just a little bit, like to where the spine's where I want it. And then we're going to go ahead and focus on getting the handle profiled. And then I'll start forging in the bevels after the handle profile is about 80% profile. Now this is typically, the stuff that I'm doing right now is typically if you were watching someone that had a press, they'd be using fullering dies to be able to do everything that I'm doing right now. And it'd be a lot easier if I had a press, but I don't. So I guess you gotta do this like we're doing it right now. Let's see what you got here. First knife was a San Mai last summer. Yep. Staying up. Altitude. Don't splash stream. You want to see me make a Godzilla? That would be cool. Serbian sax hybrid. That would be sick. The fat sax. What's up, Melissa? How you doing? First knife ever was a flattened garden trowel. I made when I was 7. That's awesome. Good night, Chip. Birthday's on August 4th, and it's coming, same as my mom. That's awesome. Cool. Man, oh man. Let's swing some hammers some more. All right, so on this next heat, what I'm going to go ahead and do is grab the big hammer. We're going to flatten it out. I'm going to profile this spine just a hair, and then we'll start working on the handle. I should be able to do, just on the next heat, I should get it to where I need it to be. Let's see here. What's up? Is that Farrell? We don't get political on here. Calm down. Cleaver is going to take up most of his energy tonight, that's for sure. Samantha, I am making a play on both a Serbian cleaver, Serbian cleaver and a kind of like a Gayuto, Santuco type blade. Where did you buy your kit? Which particular kit do you mean? And nice, Texas. It's cool to be talking to Texas. I live in Texas. But right now, so I'll show you. This is one of the Serbian cleavers that we did on one of the live streams. So I'm doing like a version of something like this, plus kind of like a Santuco or a K-tip Gayuto kind of profile. And we're forging it out of what was originally 5/8 of an inch of steel. Basically, we forged essentially a spatula. If I wanted to do a Serbian cleaver right now, if I just forged in the bevels, it would automatically give me that profile. But I need to go ahead and fix this spine just a little bit by just working it down. I'm going to heat it up one more time, and we're going to do that. I just want to go ahead and flatten the spine just a hair. I'm not going to get too crazy into it because as soon as I start forging the kind of the finger choil area of this handle, what I mean by that is this area inside here. What we're going to end up doing, the blade's going to go onto the edge of the anvil like that, and I'm going to start forging in on the spine, and it's going to thin this area out. I don't want to get the spine too even on the back here going into that because I'm going to have to go through and correct it anyways. I just want to kind of straighten stuff up a little bit before we go into the actual handle. And I don't need it to be super hot for this because I'm not trying to move a bunch of material. I'm just trying to straighten things up. So it doesn't need to be super hot. That's basically our preform before the handle and before we start pulling out those bevels. Toss it back in the forge, tang first. And we'll get the tang hot, go ahead and forge it down. And then it's going to be a distal taper, meaning it's going to have that taper where it's thick and it goes down to thin like this, and that's going to help us get a little bit of the flare that I want at the end of the tang. We're going to start off by thinning that front finger choil area, and you want to do this before you start doing the bevels, because if you tried to, like I said, if you tried to come in here after you did your bevels and you started forging those down a little bit, it's going to go ahead and pull this heel back. If you tried to do it afterwards, you wouldn't be able to get into that nook. So what we're going to do is we're going to forge and pinch this area first, and then when we do the bevels, it's going to pull this heel back and it's going to create that choil right there. So we kind of need to thin out the handle profile first before we start doing that section. Switch tongs. Of course, we're going to do this, not the perfect tongs. Would not suggest using this style of tongs for this, but we are going to make it happen. We're just going to keep it from hitting ourselves in the face. Again, like I said, all we're doing right now is we're just pinching this area. We're going to end up drawing it out afterwards. You might be wondering to yourself, if I'm using the wrong tongs, why don't I just use the right tongs? They don't exactly make a perfect set of tongs to be able to work with the blade that's over 3 inches tall. You know, I've got all kinds of blade making tongs and different things like that. I guess if I wanted to do anything, I could probably use these guys, which I might try out those. So these are super abused, but I made these right here for working with the big leaf spring stuff that I was using. Full flat grind, yes, it'll have a full flat grind. Have I been to Florida before? I've been to Florida a few times. My grandpa lived there. Cocoa Beach, Florida. I've been to a lot of places in Florida, but stayed in Cocoa Beach for a while. Where did I buy my furnace? I built this. So I've actually got videos on the channel showing how I built this, and I've built, I think, 2 or 3 forges on the channel. But I've got all the stuff for that on the channel. If you just, in the search bar of my channel, you can actually go through and look up how I built my forge. Let's try and use these tongs on this. Woo. That forge is hot. Let's try this. There we go. All I'm doing, you can see right now where that dent is. These are half on, half off blows. What that means is the anvil's in this little nook right here. I'm using half of the hammer over the anvil, half of the hammer off the anvil. And we pinch it that way. That way the center of the hammer is right over the edge of the anvil. What that's going to do is that eventually is going to give us a little bit of a finger swell or a palm swell. Go ahead, toss it back in the forge. And from this point, we're going to go ahead and start profiling our handle a little bit. My goal is to get our full handle size. And if you're wondering, if you're new to the channel, this section right here of the anvil, this little step down, is the size of my hand whenever I make a fist. So as long as I know that the bottom of the handle, this section right here, fits my hand, I know it fits it if it goes over this. If those 2 hooks, this hook and this back hook, can go over this and straddle that, it's big enough for my hand. Let's see here. And then, but yeah, if y'all are interested in how I make the forges, it's a pretty simple process. It's nothing super complicated. But I'll tell you, if you're going to do this, it's nice to be able to make your own stuff before you go out and buy stuff. And if you don't have the ability to make it, that's fine. sell them. I'm not telling you that you have to make every tool that you use. I didn't make the hammers that I'm using right now. All we're doing right now is we're distilling the tank. Which means all we're doing is we're coming through and we're tapering the tang from the ricasso to the end of it. We're getting length out of there. I need to get enough length to be able to drop this back section off the edge of this side right here, which I should be able to do. Bring that back up to 10. And I'll tell you, you have a lot of people who think about material management within forging, and some of the material management for you to, I guess, think about would be understanding that doing tapers. Was that Matt in here? What's up, Matt? So doing tapers, distal tapers, maximizes your material. So being able to do a distal taper through your tang to make it whatever length you need, distal tapering through your blade to make it whatever length you need. Tapers are a huge benefit to you, because if, let's say you didn't end up with enough steel lengthwise on your handle, so let's say your handle was going to be a little short, but your handle was about 3/16 of an inch thick, and it's going to be a little bit short. If you distal that out and bring the tip down to about 1/8 of an inch, you're going to automatically make that material extend out. So being able to do tapers will give you more length, and then also let you flare, because as you're flattening it out, that material goes everywhere. It goes out, goes up, goes down, and that's going to give you the ability to kind of put the material wherever you need to put it. Bring this back out. Almost there. Yep, on this next heat, we'll be able to get it just long enough to drop that down. I'm going to use 2 tongs. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but once I get the handle kind of where I want it, from that point forward, we're really going to focus on the blade and not so much the tang. Kind of make Godzilla, Thermo, Stephen King, Ghidorah. I haven't really tried to do much of the blacksmithing like that. Love the profile. Such fun. Yeah. I think this is going to be a good one. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the blade turns out whenever I start forging in the bevels. That's going to be the fun part. And I figured this was going to be a 2-hour live stream. We're at an hour and a half. I had a feeling it was going to be that way. Drop the old plate and fork off the. Luckily, I didn't have any more food on there. All right. Pull it back out. Hopefully, in this heat right here, we'll be able to go ahead and get the handle roughly to where I want it to be. There we go. Okay, it's a little simple right now, but that right there is our little hook. Okay, so we're going to put it back in the forge, let it heat up real quick. I don't want to be hammering on this as I'm doing the whole forming part with it being super cold. Of course, it's not super cold, but you know what I mean. That section of the tang is going to heat up pretty quick. It's already pretty much where I need it to be, and it's only been like a minute, if that. Side of the hammer. Start flattening that tang out. I guess you could say thinning it out more than flattening it. This is also going to flare the end out a little bit. All the length that we need. Now we're going to flatten. Planish it a little bit. We got the full length of handle that we need right there. So now at this point, all I've got to do is go in and profile it how I want it. So I'm not going to go too crazy with this. What I am going to do is I am going to put it on the edge of the anvil, forge the front end a little bit more, and then forge the back end a little bit more, because my goal, we'll let it go ahead and heat back up. My goal here is to have something similar to this right here, where it has a little bit of a hook, nothing too crazy. But if you see, it has a little bit of a flare to the center here. A little bit of a flare. I'm going to have a little bit more of a flare on this one right here, the one that I'm forging. And there'll be a little bit more of a flare right here. What's up, Bobby? That's the goal with this. And I want to get that profile where it's going to be before I go ahead and switch to the blade. Because like I've said plenty of times already, whenever I get to that part, forging the bevels and everything, it's going to start making things line up where it needs to line up. You'll be able to see the distal taper now. You see how far we come down with that taper? So that came down. Now I'm going to go ahead and start forging on the blade. I don't want the handle to be any more profiled than it is right now. because I can refine all of that later. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start forging into bevels. I'm going to get that process going, and then we're going to go from there. Build a lawnmower? I don't know if I could build a lawnmower. I mean, I might be able to build a lawnmower, but I have rebuilt lawnmowers. Okay, y'all give me 1 second. I'm not teleporting. I'm going right behind the camera. Still here. Just going to get ready to swap out the bottles because this one's starting to get real cold. So we're going to turn this off. Still a ton of propane in that thing. It's just a super cold bottle. Boom. Oh, it's frost. All that frost. There we go. It's gone y'all forever. Watching live stream. Until 1985, 60 billion years. All right. What are your thoughts about an offset handle? What do you mean by an offset handle? Like where the handle comes up? Kind of interested to hear what you mean in there. Those bottles frost up faster if you crank the forge all the way up. That's not all the way up. You know, it goes all the way up to 30 psi. Okay? So it's not technically all the way up. We can go more. Okay, so on this next heat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start forging from about right here down. So this right here, we're going to be forging from. What's up, Abba? How are you doing? I'm doing good. So we're going to be forging from this section down, and basically what's going to end up happening is we're going to get to where the tip comes out and the heel goes back in this process. I'm going to be forging using the round side of the hammer, and I'm actually going to switch to my other rounding hammer because it's a less aggressive round side. We'll be able to get some material moving. So about halfway. We're forging from the halfway mark down. So we're going and we're hammering in the center, a little bit further down, and then all the way on the edge. And we're going to see it's going to start taking that cutting edge and shifting it out to either end. And we're going to forge this cutting edge down to about a 1/16 of an inch thick. So it'll go from the main section of the spine will be in between 3/16 and 1/4 of an inch thick, and that'll go all the way down to about a 1/16 at the edge. What's up, Jose? How you doing? What's up, Isabel? How you doing? I like some of those. So like whenever you see some of the traditional like Japanese vegetable cleavers, those kind of have that profile to where the handle comes up and back, and I think they're cool. And yes, we do need some mods, and I got to figure out how to promote mods. Maybe Miss Rivers can actually look that up. Okay, continue forging how we were doing it. Getting these levels forged in. Not going to forge the bevels all the way in just yet. You'll see why here in just a second. Okay, so we're good there. I'm going to leave it at that thickness. What I want to go ahead and do is I want to go ahead and draw the blade out just a little bit, and then we'll continue forging the bevels. We've got a super tall blade just as we are right now. So if we're just at that heel, we're at, what is that? 3 1/4, right down, and we're still going to come down even more than that. I just don't want it to be an exact Serbian cleaver. I want it to come down, have a little bit of a taper down to a little bit more of a point. Well, there you go. Yeah, Steve's here pretty much all the time too. Chip's here. And for the people that need to have it done, just mute them, but don't kick them off of the live stream. So we're going to go ahead, and I want to do, let me show y'all, this section right here. So I want to get this section down like this, so it's not straight and then chunk cuts off. I want it to have that slope right there, that slope. I appreciate the amount of people that have got on here today though. Whether they've been bots or not. Okay, let's go in. That handle just flying off the edge there. Go ahead and kind of get that back in line a little bit. Don't want to do it too much while the steel's not super hot. Woo. Almost died, guys. We're going to pick it up in different tones. Technically I didn't. I've had way closer calls than that. There's nothing like trying to pick a blade up off the ground with different tongs that don't make it to where you can pick them up off the ground. Jeez. So if I was to go through with the blade cool and try and forge that down, it would shear that spine. I know that I'm going to end up hammering some more, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to straighten that tang out just a little bit before we continue working on the blade. But yeah, if you try and stretch a piece of material like that, so if I was to try and pull that tang back down with it not hot here, it would shear the steel right there. It would create a bunch of little micro cracks in that area that you would never be able to fix. So you want to heat it back up. You don't want to just go to town and screw your blade up. We just needed to get a little bit of heat in it. So yeah, I think as we do this, that forging on the spine that I'm doing, it is extending the profile out just perfect. We are going to have a massive heel on this dang knife. It's going to be ridiculous. I love it. Okay. More heat in the handle than we do the actual blade. Just using the step up. Pull that blade down just a little bit. Pull the handle down. Just like so. That is going to be an awesome profile whenever we get this thing going. Love this. So we've got to forge this section down a little bit more. This is going to be such a good profile. Let's see here. Feels so fancy. I am forging. That's what we're doing. Nice. I'm happy that we've had that many views. Cleaver hybrid. Yep. Thanks, Danny. I will definitely be careful. Comment cops. I like that. Yeah, the comment cops. Who would have ever thought that my little old live stream would need moderators? I appreciate the amount of people that have been coming on here and watching this and participating in these live streams. Man, even with the big doors open, I got the big doors open, got the small door open. Even with all of that, it's still probably close to like 80 degrees in here. It's ridiculous. And even with how hot it is in here, it's still freezing my dang propane bottles. I'm looking for a torch. Wherever the heck that thing, there it is. So we're letting that heat the blade back up. While it's doing that, I'm going to do a thing off camera that you're not supposed to see, which is me getting the frost off of the other propane tank with a torch. Don't do this at home, guys. I am propane certified. I'm also forklift certified. You know, if I'm forklift certified, I'm good to do anything. Anything. But I knew that bottle wasn't going to have a ton of propane in it. All right. So let's continue to work on this way so that we're not hanging the edge off the, or hanging the cutting edge off of the actual anvil. So all we need to do that a couple more times. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, seeing how we're getting a little bit flared out, is I'm going to go ahead and take the straight peen, and I'm going to go all the way down it again with the straight peen, and that should give us a little extra length off of it as well. We're going to let that start coming back up the temp a little bit, and then we're going to swap the bottles back out. I just need to go ahead and continue defrosting this other bottle, because it has all the propane in it. I didn't disappear. I'm still here. I know y'all are thinking, holy crap, he vanished. He's not there anymore, guys. Duck's probably saying I disappeared forever. Okay. Now we can go back on with the what was frosted up bottle. There we go. So you can hear whenever it starts frosting because the sound of the forge goes down a lot. Good night, Steve. Yeah, I know. In DFW, and it is basically spring. We had rains that came through, and then we've been in like the high 60s, low 70s since the last freeze. Yeah, that's all you got to do. Take the propane torch and just defrost that thing and call it good. Use a yard torch. I should do that. Heck yeah, Eli. Tell them. Everybody hit that like button. So on this next heat, what we're going to do is we're going to use that straight peen, and we're going to go ahead and try and get a little bit of length out of the blade. You know, the cool thing about this forging process is going into this with a rough idea of what I wanted to forge, and then being able to just do it as I go. Not really worry about a whole bunch of different parameters or anything like that. Just get it going. And one of the cool things about being able to forge and do that stuff is you can easily make whatever you want. You're not limited to the steel size. You're not limited to stock removal or anything like that. You just get after it and just make whatever the heck comes into your mind. So we're going to be forging all the way down it with the straight peen. We still got plenty of edge thickness there, so we've got plenty of material that we can still keep forging out. I'm hoping to get about a total of 1 more inch out of the actual length of this blade. In a forced air forge, it takes longer to freeze because of lower PSI. Yep, 100%. Know we get it during Blade Show, most likely. Now, people don't realize that Texas gets its freezing during February. That's when winter fully hits here. But yeah, I'm hoping to get about another inch of length out of the actual blade. If I can get that extra inch, will have the height and the length that I want for this style of blade. I think it's going to be pretty unique. Go ahead and flip it. But I think that this is going to look really, really cool whenever we actually get it fully done. Yeah, I bet it won't. If I was running lower PSI, you can turn it down a little bit. We'll run it a little bit lower. We'll see if it lasts more. Okay. Continue drawing it out. How long are we right now? Let's see here. So we're at 6 inches on the cutting edge. Go a little bit longer than that. I know we're going to get more length whenever I start forging in the bevels the rest of the way, but I want to get it to where the cutting edge is closer to about 6 3/4, 7 inches. Right now, the cutting edge is even with this right here. So that's how long the cutting edge is. But I'm gonna bring the edge profile down to about that right there. What's up, Jeremy? So this particular piece started out 5/8 of an inch thick. I had about this much material to do the tang, and then I had a huge chunk of it over here. But we forged it from 5/8 of an inch thick down to the ricasso area being about 3/8 of an inch, and then distilling down to 1/8 of an inch at the end of the tang, and then distilling through the blade as well. Right now, all we're trying to do is get the dimensions that we want. We've got the handle about 85% profiled. We're just getting the blade where we want it. And then it's a 5160. And we've been doing it all by hand. And we got a big blade out of it. So let's go ahead and we're going to bring this down just a little bit more, and then we're going to flatten it back out. And whenever I forge the bevels in, it's going to give it that natural curve on the belly. So whenever I finish forging the bevels, see how it has this natural curve right here? Yeah, we're going to get that whenever I start forging in those bevels the rest of the way. Hate thinning out, bigger stuff. Yeah, I know. It's hell to do. The guys at Junket Smithy run off natural gas. That's actually pretty cool. And I've got some friends that still use coal forges. this blade is almost the width of the internal chamber on my forge. You came back to check, Mr. Chip? So Shegman knives right there, whenever he started, he was using a coal forge. I was running about 18 psi, 18, 19, because of the thickness of the stock, trying to get it hot enough. Now I'm running probably about closer to 12. Okay, we're going to use the big boy hammer. That big son of a gun. Bring this down just a little bit. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and start working on those bevels. I do want to forge the spine down just a hair, but we might do that. I'm going to forge in the bevels and flatten the spine a little bit because I've got to get those straight peen hammer marks out of it anyways. So on this next heat, we'll go ahead and we'll forge pretty much the whole entire blade with the flat side of the rounding hammer. And I'm actually going to switch to my other rounding hammer, the almost as beefy one. I've got a local friend that has an induction forge, and he loves that thing. Makes me so happy seeing this. It reminds me of my late great grandpa. That's awesome, Haley. I'm happy to have you here. Yeah, now you run a Majestic. Yep. Whenever I do the ribbon burner forge, of course I'll be able to run it at a lower PSI than even that. I'm going to be getting the burner from the Apollo forge that Brown House makes. But I'm just getting the burner and then the assorted stuff from that. I'm going to make my own forge body. I built this forge. Figure I might as well build the other forge around that burner. Get this hot, and then, like I said, I'm going to forge all of the flats on this, going all the way up to the spine and everything. We're going to forge it flat. Get the hammer blows from the straight peen out of it. We have not finished messing with the handle yet. We got the tang roughly where we want it to be, about 80% done. We always want to do our blade after we get our handle about 80%. We want to do our blade after that. And then once the blade's nice and good, we go ahead and focus on the handle finishing it. How much length we got now. So now we're about 6 1/4 inches on the length. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the heel down a little bit. So in this next heat, I'm going to forge the edge down just a little bit. So I want to get more length out of it. I want just a little bit more rock in the belly. So I'm going to hammer here, and I'm going to pinch that area just a little bit. Because right now we're kind of in a big wedge. We'll pinch that down. That'll bring that heel back a little bit too. Eventually I want to try and build a forge that runs off hydrogen. Damn! That seems very sketchy. About as sketchy as me using a blowtorch on the bottom of the tank. But to be fair, using a blowtorch on the bottom isn't that big of a deal if I got a big old flame about 2 feet away from it. And all we're doing is we're just defrosting the frost. Not trying to do anything too crazy like absolutely melt it down. Just because I do something in my shop doesn't mean you should do it in your shop. Like I wouldn't suggest running a hydrogen forge. Back over. This is such a big blade. I think once I get this heel down a little bit, I think we'll have the profile that I want. Starting to get there. It's gonna be such a big pack. Just turn the lights off. The link will be as more you should see. I worked in hydrogen fuel cell technology. What? You've worked in so many places, Chip. I swear to God. They'll be like, remember that one time I worked for NASA? And I honestly don't know. It could be great for a forge. I don't think it would, but it could be great. But I mean, they have hydrogen Hondas or something like that. So I could see. I know that there's cars that run off of hydrogen. Thin the edge out. I'm using the rounding side of the hammer because I want to move the edge back and forth. And then we'll flatten it. What it's going to do is it's going to start extending that cutting edge just out a little bit. It's not going to go too crazy, but it's going to come out just a little bit. This next one I might extend it out just a little bit with the straight cane. Just from doing that little bit of material moving where we were pushing the heel down, we were able to get rid of, there was a little indent right here where the handle had kicked down just a hair. just by hammering on this, we were able to kind of get rid of that indent that was right there. I'm really just going to focus on getting heat into the cutting edge with this because we're not going to be forging the whole entire blade. And if I do start working on the blade, it's just going to be kind of like a planishing heat. We don't want it to be super hot because we don't want to put a bunch of big hammer blows into there. So just on that cutting edge, straight beam. Flatten it out on this next one. Now remember, y'all heard me say this several, and I mean several times. When you're in the process of moving the blade to where you want it, it does not need to be pretty. Once we get everything to where we want it, the profile to where we want it, and we start getting into that planishing step, then we start making sure everything stays straight, even, straight and centered, smooth, all of that stuff. When we're just moving the material to where we want it to be, it can be an S, it can be curved, it can be wonky, it doesn't matter. It's the planishing steps that we need to make everything look pretty. Right now, what we're going to be doing is focusing on just smoothing. Get our edge lined up. Show y'all something. You see how much we have got that heel to come back right there? It was all the way up here when we started. So we got our heel to drop back. Whenever I drop the handle down, it'll come back a little bit. I think this is going to be cool. It's definitely a big knife. Not done planishing. Go one more heat on the planishing phase. And then we can go ahead and get our tang in line and get our tang the profile that we want it to be finalized. And this knife should be pretty much finished. What have y'all been typing here? Most behaved 59-year-old teenager. Knife is looking most excellent. Thank you. So the cool thing about this is, again, whenever I used to forge this much, I would have to worry about getting blisters. And since I've been doing it for this long and this often, I don't get blisters anymore. But anytime I've had to, back in the past, forge this much material and move this much material, because again, if you remember what we started out with, it looked like basically like this right here. It was a big chunk like that. It was 5/8 of an inch thick. And we were able to forge that all the way down. And we only had about less than, I think that it kind of was shaped like this a little bit. This section was only just under 2 inches. So we went from just under 2 inches to almost 7 inches. That's a lot of forging. We're just making sure our distal taper looks good, making sure our cutting edge is uniform. Making sure things are centered. Okay, now we just need to get our spine in line, our tang in line. Get our handle wrapped up here. That is a big knife. So the crazy thing is the handle looks really, really, really small. But that is a full-size handle. That's a full-size tang. That was absolutely absurd. All right. So let's do this. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to put this in the forge and bring the tang up to heat. What I want to do is I'm going to put it in the vise. Okay, y'all aren't gonna be able to see an absolute ton here, but I'm gonna put it in the vise. We're gonna take the cross peen, okay? We're gonna take the cross peen, and we are going to forge into here. All right. So we're gonna put it in the vise. We're gonna come in, and we're gonna forge here. And what it's gonna do. And it's actually going to flare this area out here. It's going to create a T, so it's going to come out this way. If you see any of Neil Kalamura's knives, his kind of has that. I'm going to try and do that on this because I kind of need to create this little smooth transition here. And I want that part to stay forged. I don't want to have to grind in that area. I want that section to just be a forged section. Defrost the tank again. Y'all over here talking about hydrogen like that's dangerous. I'm over here with the propane torch on a propane tank. Oh, Miss Rivers is probably going, what are you doing? Although she trusts me. About as far as she can throw me. Okay, I'm going to pull you back over here for right now. So yes, we're going to go into the vise and we're going to hammer into that little area. Yeah, I'm hoping that Nisha gets to come with me to Blade Show Atlanta. That's the goal. You know, all depends on whether I have a table or a booth or not. I'll be at booth 13F at Blade Show, Texas. I really need a post leg vise. That's one of the things that I need to end up purchasing is a post leg vise. And the reason behind it is a lot of these vices are built to where the main drive for it is in the center. So you only get a little bit of a working area. I need a post leg because they have that big open area. You can put a blade in there real easily. Okay, pull this out. Grab our hammer. Okay, you can move a propane torch. Clamp it down. That right there is what I was talking about. That's how it's flared out. So you can see how it flares out right there on both sides. And I did round it, so it doesn't just come straight across. It's like rounded as if it was a comfort fit on a ring. Go ahead and toss it back in the forge. Bring that handle back up the temp. Now what I'll end up doing with that area is when this, after I do the whole annealing process or anything like that, I'll come in and I'll clean that up with that same hammer, and I'm just going to do light blows on it, just as if I was. Let me show y'all real quick. I've got this one. So with this one right here, all this texture right here was all done by hammer, and it was all evened out and smoothed out the same way that I'm going to do that. Just came across with the ball peen and just made sure everything looked and felt super comfortable. I'm going to do that same thing on that finger tool area. Right now what I need to do is I need to finish dropping turn this a little bit. So what I'm going to do, we're going to put it down here on the step again, and we're going to get that spine nice and lined up. What's up, Vivian? How you doing? That's why it was good to be in the 80s kid, raised with Ivan Drago. Yes. I'm trying to be at Blade next year. We don't have a big knife shows in Alberta. I bet you don't have a ton of knife shows in Alberta. Goku, I'm making a variation of this Serbian cleaver. It's a little bit, it's like a hybrid between this and a like Gyuto / Santuko. It's a Japanese inspired mix up with this Serbian cleaver that I have right here. And Chip, yes you do. What's up, Cake? Is that Cake? How would you pronounce your name? That's pretty cool. I like your name. Yep, Danny owns one. Again, thank you for that, Danny. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to come in, put the tang on the anvil step, and just forge it down. I'll probably come in with, let's do the cross painting. That'll probably be a little bit easier to get into that little groove. Right now we're just dropping the tang down. I think that's going to be pretty close to good there. I think I want to bring it down just a little bit more, so we're going to heat it back up one more again. What I'll probably do is I'll probably shift that tang around just a little bit. Whew. I am going to be tired for tomorrow. My anvil right now, so we've been forging enough to where even back here where I haven't even rest the steel yet is probably about 80 degrees back here. Like, that is warm. What's up? Working hard. Yep. 20 miles of Canadian border. Yeah, but where? Okay, tell him where you were, Chip, because he's gonna be like, oh, where in Canada did you live? Tell him how you lived that far above the border, but you technically didn't live in Canada. Let's go ahead and don't want to get too crazy with that. Right now all I'm trying to do is just get the tang lined up how I want it to be. Get it planished a little bit. We don't need a lot of heat for this step. Switch hammers. Okay. Should be able to heat it up one last time. Get our tang planished. Our blade's pretty much already planished. We don't need to wait for it to heat up too much because, again, it's just planishing steps. But we're going to use the little old auto body hammer. Be jealous of this massive hammer. You know you wish you had one. Let's see here. So this anvil is a Trenton Ajax. This is about an 80-year-old anvil. It's a Trenton Ajax 170-pound anvil. And then, of course, I have the little Vivor Acacio one right back here with my little guillotine tool on top of it. Love this anvil. This was my first, what I would call my first real blacksmithing tool. Never seen a Bigfoot. From Brazil! What's up? I love having my Brazil people in the house. Y'all showed up in force on a few of these videos. Plus, my good buddy Pinto is from Brazil. But a good portion of my viewers actually come from Brazil. And now we're just going to planish. Make sure things are smooth. This keeps me from having to do a bunch of grinding work later. Make sure everything's in line. So that is our blade. Big son of a gun. I really like the overall profile on this. We got our flare and the little finger troll there, which I'll end up cleaning up after this cools down a little bit. Nice overall profile. This is a rather large knife. So the overall, so let's say the thickness at the ricasso is 3/8 of an inch thick. So this area is 3/8 of an inch. It is wide, and then it tapers down right now to an 1/8 of an inch. So it goes from 3/8, okay? It goes from 3/8 at the ricasso to an 1/8 of an inch at the end of the tang. And the cutting edge is right at about an 1/8 of an inch, just under an 1/8 of an inch. We're looking good. The end of the handle is centered with the tang. The bevels come down. We've got a nice taper throughout the whole entire blade. Look back just a little bit. So we've got a taper all the way through to the tip, to the back of the handle. You could probably go ahead. I'm going to do something a little bit here. Let's shift over just a smidge. I want to shift that tip over just a hair, which I can easily do that with the heat that I'm in right now. There we go. Okay, now we're centered. I like this profile. It's kind of like a Serbian, but like a more extended version of it. And the cool thing is, let's say I want to play with the profile a little bit. let's say I want to take some out of the spine and a little bit out of the tip. I've got plenty of room to do a little bit of work on the 2x72 with this, which is really cool. Now we're going to go back in the forge, and we're going to just close the forge off a little bit, let it come back up to about 1600 degrees. We're going to do an annealing phase. We do an annealing phase after every time we forge something, okay? Let's bring y'all back up here. So every single time we go and we forge something, not chip, not knives, templars. If we're forging something, we always want to do an annealing step at the end of that, and that puts everything down into its like relaxed state. You know, you want to do that. You don't want to just forge it and then just leave it on an anvil or leave it on the outside, because there's a chance that it can air harden. There's a chance that, I mean, there are blades that are quenched between two steel plates. There are steels that are air hardening steels. If you don't do this annealing phase, your steel could harden itself, even if it's only just a little bit. It can harden itself enough to where you screw up your drill bits when you go to drill your holes through your tang, to where you are using a hardened blade whenever you're going through and you're grinding on your 2x72 and you're going through your belt super fast. You want to put it in its most relaxed state so that you can drill through it easily. You can easily go through and use your abrasives on it and not wear them out. So annealing after the forging process is key. Plus it relaxes it. I've seen people get warps in their steel or cracks or breaks because they did all this stuff and then they forgot to do a normalizing cycle, and they go and they quench their blade, but their blade is still in this super abused state after forging. So the blade's in that super abused state, and then they forget to do it for some odd reason. They forget to do a normalizing and thermal cycling, and then they go and they quench the blade, and it just cracks. It gets cracks everywhere, all that, and then they go, I wonder why this cracked. And it's because they didn't do these steps to relax the steel. They didn't do things like that, or they burned through a drill bit. And drill bits are not cheap. You know, you burn through a 9, or if you get an expensive drill bit that's like $20, you burn through that, you're frustrated. So just do the annealing step after it, and then go through and do your stuff. But right now, what we were able to get out of this was a different variation of this blade right here, because it does come down a little bit. So we got kind of a hybrid between this and that. We actually got pretty close to that. That profile right there, the blade that we forged is actually pretty close to the one that's right here. So we actually got pretty close to that. And I just drew that just kind of on a whim. So we did pretty good. We're a safety guy. I'm not a safety guy. I'm the guy that everybody is like, hey, you need to put the guard on your angle grinder. I don't own the angle grinder guard anymore. Yep, I'm that guy. I'm also in here in a pair of Hey Dudes, some flammable pants, a flammable shirt. But we've got this thing brought up to almost temp. It's actually brought up to temp now. So all I'm going to do is go ahead, shut the forge off, block it off. It's going to spend the night inside the forge. It's going to go ahead and do its thing inside there, and it's good. I'm going to show y'all something. So I'm going to show y'all a few of the knives that I was working on today. So these are some of the ones I'm taking to Blade Show. If y'all remember a while back, okay, these still need to be buffed. The handles still need to be buffed. But if y'all remember a while back, I made these knives, made 5 of them. These were the knives that I was going to sell for the shop build. So these were all forged out of 80 CRV2. I'm going to have them at Blade Show. They're just some chill camp knives that were hand forged, that have slight distal tapers through the tangs, comfortable all around profile. These guys right here. I made 5 of these. Those are finally finished. Well, I say they're finished. They still just need to be buffed. That's the only phase. The only phase that we have left is buffing it. And then I'm also going to be working on this right here. You can see what step I'm in right now. This is Shop Talk Tuesday's build. We've got the jade with the black liners. I've got it set up to where I can go ahead and start drilling the pins. So tomorrow I will get this handle attached to this and then go ahead and get it profiled and hand sanded and all that stuff on Monday for the video to come out on Tuesday. So how long are those blades? So out of those 5 ones, these, let's see here. I got my little old measuring tape ruler thing over here. So these have about a 5.5 inch cutting edge. And then, so these are 10 inches overall length, 5.5 inches cutting edge. But yeah, 10-inch overall length. They're just built to be camp knives. And I'm going to have these on the website. These are all going to go on the website. And then whatever ones don't sell. Good night, Neil. Whatever ones don't sell will be going with me to Blade Show. So I've got these. And then I've got, these are what are starting to be worked on next. So those are already heat treated and tempered. This is my medium size EDC right here. I've got 3 to 4 of these that are going to Blade Show. This beast right here is the large version of those. What's up from Indonesia? So these are the large ones right here. And this is about 1/4 inch thick. That's a big knife right there. I'm only making a few of these. And then y'all have probably seen them. These are on the website right now. I've got a few different variations of these on the website. So these have rich light right here for the handle material. These are 1/4 inch. And this particular one, I've got 2 of these. And then I've got some with some nice curly maple on them. So these are 26C3. They created a little random hamon on there, little auto hamon. But these are 26C3. And then I've got 2 1080s. That's got some nice little chatoyance. So this is the smaller EDC right here. And then I've got 1 more of those. And this beautiful wood right here. I love the way the grain flows on this one. It's pretty cool. So it is book match. So if you look at this size, they go this way. If you look at this side, they go the opposite direction. But they are book matched all the way across. So that grain fully flows all the way across from one side of the scale to the other. These are 1080. I haven't used fire hose micarta yet, but I plan on doing it. One of the guys that I talked to on YouTube, he made his own fire hose micarta, and I thought that was really cool. I was thinking about doing that too. David Moon Forge. I was thinking about doing that. You should try sharpening the R notch on your knives. That'd be kind of cool. All right, Duck. Glad to see you here. Glad to have you here. You didn't have to go and do dishes in the middle of this, so that's cool. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff going. So in the next Shop Talk Tuesday, we're working on, like, we're finishing up the recurve chopper. It's all wrapped up in tape because the finish is already done on it. That was in last Shop Talk Tuesday. But we'll have the handle done. We've got black micarta pins, micarta lanyard tube, all that stuff on here. It's going to be a really pretty handle. That's going to be coming up on this Shop Talk Tuesday. And then the Shop Talk Tuesday after that is finishing up one of the other ones we did on the live stream. This right here. We're going to be finishing that one. This is a full integral handle. Already started texturing the spine a little bit. We're going to go through and finish up this one right here. That's a cool full integral bolster, integral handle, all forged right there. That's going to be not this coming up Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that. That's that build. This is going to look really cool because these bevels, it's going to look like a leaf when it's all said and done. Yeah, I heard that you're going to be on a camping trip, but you'll be able to watch it afterwards. Heck yeah. Yeah, if you send me some of those, I would love to make some micarta with them. Yeah, this thing is indestructible. You don't have to worry about the wood shrinking or anything like that. And the crazy thing is, the weight on it right now is right at the ricasso. Once I go through and I grind in the bevels, the weight will be perfect balanced right at the finger choil. So it'll be perfectly balanced right here. It's just right in front, right at the ricasso right now, because we haven't ground in the bevels. Once the bevels are ground, this will have a perfect weight balance between handle and blade. You know, some people would think, oh, it's all steel, that thing's going to be super heavy. Nope. And the finish that I'm going to put on this will be the actual forge, almost like the forge scale, that will be hot waxed. So it's going to be a very, very durable finish that's going all the way down the spine and all that stuff. I'm going to be hand texturing the whole entire spine all the way down it. It's going to be just an amazing knife. You got any half-inch bearings? I don't have any half-inch bearings. And what's up, Michael? Also, what's up, AR? And then after that build, y'all are going to get to see this one right here. This is the one that we forged in the last live stream. This has just about a 3/8 of an inch ricasso. We're going to go down to about a 1/16 of an inch on the tang. The handles are going to look really cool because the front of the handle, where the handle meets the ricasso, we're only going to have about 1/8 of an inch of thickness of the handle. And then there's going to be about 1/2 an inch of thickness at the end. So the handle scales are going to be a wedge. So you're going to have this wedge coming down to the end of the tang, and then there's going to be an opposite wedge coming from the handle scale down to the front and down to the front. So when you're looking at it, it's going to be a bunch of triangles on the tang. And then we're going to have some nice plunge lines. It's going to have some nice, cool, super standout plunge lines. Nice ricasso, swedge ground into it. That is going to be absolutely awesome build. So I'm taking all these live streams and I'm turning them into builds. Now, next weekend, if I decide that I'm up to it, we're going to be forging the Viking Sax sword in that live stream. Or at least as much of it as we can. in that live stream. I think next week's live stream is going to be 3 hours of just forging. I'll have to make sure I have plenty of propane for that. And it's going to be one heck of a forging experience. So we're going to have Viking sacks. I think I'm going to try and forge a 30-inch blade out of that. So we'll see how that goes. For comfort, finger grip. Oh, that's true. That would make sense. And then that would be a very unique knife. I think it will. I think it will. And at first, I was going to try, and I don't know. If I get brave enough, I'm going to do it. But I was thinking about taking and radiusing, doing a reverse. So you see how this flares up into the ricasso area, into the handle. I was thinking about reversing that and grinding this groove or this section right here, this transition, into the tang and making the tang only about 1/8 of an inch thick. And so taking about 2/8, take 1/8 out of each side and rounding it down into it, and then making my scales recess into the tang. So you would almost have it beveled down in and then come back. Same thing right here and come back, and then have it to where the handle scales recess down into the handle. If I get absolutely brave, I might try something like that. But I don't know if we're gonna do that. That's gonna be a kind of a hard one. I'm happy that we've had as many people hop on here. I really appreciate the amount of people that have been participating and coming and being part of these live streams and actually hanging out and talking and all that. I love it. You like the recess? I know. I like the recess. I did too, but it's one of those things that it's like, that is going to be difficult. But I could do it. Because if I did basically like what I'm doing with this chef's knife right here, if I did this, because I was able to hand file that into there. What's up, dog? What's the dog? So if I did basically this, and then I just matched that radius on the scales, and then had the scales just come back, like that would be cool. That's a cool Damascus chef's knife right there. That pattern. The old collaboration knife with me and Chad Kimmel, the guy that's going to be at the table with me. 13F, Blade Show, Texas. Still got a little bit of work to do on that one. New to the channel, just stumbled on the live stream. Subscribe so I can keep up to date. Thank you, AR. I'm glad to have you here. We do a lot of different knife making and different stuff. I've been doing this for years, and I like to do things that are unique. The most fun thing that I can make is something that's super unique, something that is my style that just has a cool flair to it. That's what I love to do. I make both batch knives where I make several versions of them, and then I also make very much one-offs. And I tend to do a lot of forging, like what we did today. We do a lot of forging on the channel. We do stock removal. We do a lot of different stuff, and we just really enjoy it. And what I've been doing lately is I've been forging on Saturdays, doing that live, and then showing you all the builds on every Shop Talk Tuesday. I'm happy we've been doing the Shop Talk Tuesdays. I know that for a little while there, whenever I was transitioning into full-time knife making, that we kind of, the rhythm kind of fell off a little bit with the videos. But for the last month, we've been kicking in. We've been doing Shop Talk Tuesdays. We've been live streaming for every Saturday. Hopefully y'all have been loving that. Hopefully y'all have been excited to follow along with the Forge series on the live streams. I think that it's cool to do the forging on the live stream just because y'all get to see all of it. If I was to put it in a video, it's all time-lapsed. So you got to watch it in all fast motion. I can't break it down and tell you what hammer I'm using, why I'm using that hammer, what part of the anvil I'm using, why I'm using that part of the anvil. And see you later, Jeff. Um, I just, if I'm doing the time lapse, I can't tell you why I'm doing everything I'm doing. But in the live streams, we can really break it down. Y'all can ask questions. Y'all can do all of that stuff. And it's just awesome. At the multitask TRE live and on patrol live at the same time. That's awesome, Jason. But I've been having a blast doing this and being able to break it down. The cool thing is, because of y'all, I've had one of the highest viewed knife making live streams out of like all of YouTube. Most of the people that do live streams, they get anywhere between 100 to maybe 1,000 views. But for the last few, we've been over 5,000 views, which is huge for knife making on YouTube. That's more than your Jason Knights. That's more than all of the main big boys on YouTube that have been making knives for a long time on YouTube. Y'all have made me one of the most viewed live streams on YouTube when it comes to knife making. So I've really appreciated that. You're a designer. That's cool, Michael. Make sure and send me an email. It's just the Rivers Experience at yahoo.com. Just like my YouTube channel, the Rivers Experience, yahoo.com, and just send me an email. We'll talk. Yeah, I am consistent. I try to be on here every single week, and we get 2 videos a week, no matter what. We got our Saturday, we got our Tuesday. We're hitting them, and we're completing builds. We're doing those things, and we're having a lot of fun. So I know that, for some people, they fall off, and then they almost never come back. I wish Aaron from A-League Knives would come back on YouTube. I loved his builds. He was absolutely awesome, dude. I wish he would come back to YouTube and start putting out more content. And hopefully one of these days he will. Outdoors 55 or 555, one of those 2 things. I'm happy that he came back. And I'm happy that he started doing videos again, because he's a character and he makes awesome content and puts out a lot of useful information on YouTube with knife making. So I'm happy that he's back. There's just people that are going to be awesome. Oh, and by the way, in the Viking Challenge, we have like some of the newer people. We have Dies in every video, or Dies in every film. He's going to be part of it. I think that's going to be really cool. I like him. He's funny as hell. If y'all watch his videos, you would absolutely love him and you'd be laughing the whole entire time. He is a character. We got him. We got the dude from That Works. We've got several people that are going to be just awesome. Do I smelt and mold? I don't yet, but I plan on doing 3D like casting. Like I plan on doing copper and bronze casting this year. I just got to get the crucible stuff to be able to actually do that. If you want to learn to forge knives, Eric's Lives is a place to be. I appreciate that. That is hopefully the goal. I can't have everybody come into my shop, but I can at least teach y'all as much as I can through the live streams and do that. I knew this video was going to be about 3 hours long, and this live stream was going to be about 3 hours. And I think next weekends will probably be about the same, because we got a lot to forge in it. But again, the fact that we were able to get a knife that big out of that piece of steel, and we were able to forge that much in one live stream, is just absolutely awesome. You can imagine, you go on Forged in Fire, they give you steel that you have to work with. In 3 hours, you got to make a knife to their parameters. I am 100% confident that I can forge whatever the heck that they would ask me to forge on this. I feel like I could forge whatever they ask me to out of whatever type of steel they want me to at this point by hand. So they were good there. Guys, I think that you want to make a Condon a pro to participate. Okay. Oh, okay. Make sure and send me an email, Michael. Send me an email, the Rivers Experience at yahoo.com, and we'll figure out something. And on Forged in Fire, they also use power hammers and presses. Yeah, I know. I'm doing it, and it's all by hand. We took a chunk of steel and turned it into that thing, and with distal tapers and all that, and we did it all by hand. Full to profile. So I feel comfortable that I can forge whatever they ask me to, especially if I had access to a power hammer. I mean, I should be able to grind the bevels and clean it all up and have it ready for handle scales, pins, pinholes drilled, everything at that point. Imagine if I had a power hammer and a press. It'd be ridiculous. But guys, we're at 3 hours and 6 minutes, and I think it's time for me to go in and get some more to drink and relax. Guys, I thank y'all for coming in, hanging out. I thank y'all for being a part of this. I thank y'all for going through and commenting and participating in the live stream and being here. Laser cutters. Yeah, I want to do stuff with laser cutters. So again, email me. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for participating. And I will see y'all on Tuesday's Shop Talk Tuesday, where we wrap up that recurve chopper build, and then next week where we most likely forge a sword on a live stream. A sword. So, AR, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching from Australia. That's awesome. Australia is awesome. Y'all have an amazing night, and stay safe out there, and I will catch y'all next time. Thank y'all.